this done in 40, 50 minutes. I try to make a little excursion to the history also of newborn screening, and also telling a little bit about tandem mass spectrometry. So in many countries, newborn screening, like in the US, has started 50 years ago. This year we celebrated newborn screening, 50 years newborn screening in Switzerland. And then I will also focus a little bit on the technology and make probably a little bit outlook what could be done in bigger screening labs concerning automation. So first of all, what is newborn screening about anyway? So why do we perform newborn screening at all? So newborns don't help the newborns to find this one child, to prevent this and to achieve this. This is what newborn screening is mainly about. So it's not doing 45 disorders or 50 disorders. It's all about the kids, that they can lead a perfectly healthy life. And the history in Switzerland was, at the beginning, in 1965, there were 2 screening labs, one in Bern, one in Zurich. And here, this is approximately the border inside Switzerland, which sent the samples to Zurich and which to Bern. And with the introduction of tandem mass spectrometry, these 2 screening labs in a small country was too expensive. So this was centralized in Zurich, and we have approximately 80,000 births per year in Switzerland and Liechtenstein. This is here. So I can proudly say my screening lab is a multinational screening laboratory. But of course, Liechtenstein adds about 500 births per year. So they don't necessarily have an own screening lab. Now you may ask, why am I here to talk about newborn screening in Switzerland and maybe compare it to the situation in India, which is very hard. But in principle, there's not too much difference between Switzerland and India. So in Switzerland also we have 4 languages that are spoken. Mainly here they speak German, in this part they speak French, here they speak Italian, and in the yellow they speak an old Greco-Roman language. And what I learned from Dr. Google or Mr. Google, that in India there are approximately 22 official languages spoken. And also the population is quite comparable, 8 million in an area of 41,000 square kilometers, and here we have 16 million in an area of 1.5 square kilometers, of course, in the region of Delhi alone. So to make it more obvious, or not the difference, but also in Switzerland there are much more languages spoken, so we have a lot of the population from, we have Turkish speaking, Albanian, so from former Yugoslavia, Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia. We have English, or these are the leaflets that we provide on our homepage for the parents with information about the newborn screening. So in all these different languages, and as you may see, perhaps you can use one of ours. We also have one in Tamil, which is in some regions also quite popular. People that speak Tamil. So we have also our information leaflet in Tamil. But now to show the difference between what here you see, here of course Switzerland is here in the heart of Europe, and you know where India is, of course. And to make the figures more comparable, we have 0.008 billion people living in Switzerland compared to 1.6 approximately. I think maybe it's a bit different. That's what I found on the internet. And the area is 0.041 million square kilometers compared to 3.3. And as I said, we have approximately 80,000 or 0.808 million births per year compared to approximately 26 million births per year here in India. But now going back a little bit to the history of newborn screening. When I started newborn screening in Hamburg, I worked 5 years in Hamburg. There were six disorders: PKU, congenital hypothyroidism, galactosemia, homocystinuria, MSUD, and biotinidase deficiency. And we added congenital adrenal hyperplasia when I was there, and homocystinuria and MSUD were discontinued because of the low sensitivity of this, and because here we had late screening. So here, at that time, screening was taken at 5 days of age. So for MSUD, which is quite rapidly deteriorating, it was too late for screening. So all the babies were already clinically affected. Then in Munich, we started with the expanded newborn screening tandem mass spectrometry with a lot of disorders, but also here still with the early sampling and tandem mass spectrometry. Homocystinuria was also discarded from the panel because when we measure only the methionine, this is not sensitive enough for homocystinuria. Especially the earlier you take your samples, the lower is methionine in patients with homocystinuria. And since 2008 in Switzerland, we had a panel first of 6, and in 2011 cystic fibrosis was added. In 2014, last year, we also added MSUD and GA1, glutaric aciduria type 1 to the panel, and we have an application to add also severe combined immunodeficiencies to the panel. But now, to make decisions, what is necessary to screen, and what of all these 50 disorders that can be screened by tandem mass spectrometry, which makes sense? Let us have a look at the cumulative incidence that in these 3 labs that I went through. We had 5 disorders in Hamburg. In Munich, in Germany, it was in 2005 cut down to 19 disorders. In Switzerland, we have 9 disorders, and the cumulative incidence in Hamburg at that time was 1 in 2,000. In Munich, it's 1 in 1,500. And in Switzerland, it's 1 in 1,000, even if we only screen for 9 disorders. And I show you afterwards what the reason is. So, going a little back to all these disorders that can be screened with tandem mass spectrometry only. So if I draw all these like stars on the sky, and then reduce the font size of all these disorders according to their incidence, then you will clearly see in a few minutes how some of these disorders disappear from the sky. And there will not be much left, and at the end you will see clearly the reason why there's not so many difference in what you screen, but mainly it's necessary to decide what should we screen first in order to get the best results from what you can achieve. And you see, of course, PKU is one of the most prevalent. MCAT deficiency, medium chain acyl-CoA, dehydrogenase deficiency, fatty acid oxidation disorders remains. Homocystinuria is one that we would like to have, but still, with only measuring methionine, we cannot achieve to find these patients. And here is one, organic acidemia, 3-methyl-protein-CoA carboxylase deficiency, which I will also tell you a little bit about the problems of expanded newborn screening. So I said homocystinuria, that's a problem, and 3-MCC deficiency is also a problem, which I will come to later. So going back to Switzerland, you see a chart here what we did when it was started. So in 1965 it was started with PKU screening. Then also MSUD was added to the panel, and then as we did also in Hamburg, this was discontinued in 1986 because all the patients were already clinically affected. Was no use to add this, and galactosemia was added, homocystinuria the same. It was added to the panel and then discarded because no patients were found by newborn screening. Congenital hypothyroidism was added in 1977 when radioimmunoassays for TSH became available. Biotinidase deficiency was added, congenital hypothyroidism, then MCAT deficiency in 2004, and cystic fibrosis in 2011. And the other two I didn't add because we did not find a patient in this 1 year that we screened. But here you see, on the next, then you see the incidence of these disorders, and of course you see the total incidence is 1 in 1,000, and what makes this 1 in 1,000 is congenital hypothyroidism with a high prevalence, and mainly CF, cystic fibrosis. So these two together are already 1 in 1,500. So all the others, and especially all these very rare disorders that can be detected by tandem mass spectrometry, they don't add very much to the total incidence. Newborn screening started not in the 1960s, but in principle it was Asbjørn Følling who laid the first stones for newborn screening when he detected PKU, or as it was called at that time in Bacillitas rubica. Then in 1953, hospital he had the first successful therapy developed for PKU. But only in 1962, when Robert Guthrie developed a test method that was feasible for large-scale screening, really started newborn screening. And this is a picture of Robert Guthrie after he published his bacterial inhibition assay that is still nowadays called the Guthrie test. He went on a promotion tour, we would say today, around Europe, around the world, to promote newborn screening. And this is a picture when he was in 1963 in Zurich. And this is a picture of Robert Guthrie in Buffalo's Children's Hospital taking blood spot from a child there himself. And this is again what you see, what makes the difference. This young guy with his bride, with a proud bride, and the older sister. This sister has PKU, and this lady has also PKU. This was late detected, and this was early detected and early treated. And of course, again, you see the difference. And again, this is what newborn screening should be about.